going to present today a new type of reflector that's not damaged by snow plows and other road clearing equipment. And this is going to save taxpayers over $100 million a year. Most of the existing reflectors are manufactured as rigid, molded plastic bodies with reflective elements stuck on them. And these are adhesively glued to the road surface, to the surface of the roadway. And this is what happens when a snowplow comes along. The reflector can be broken, can be sheared off. If the blade gets underneath the adhesive, the entire unit can be lifted off. In either case, the reflector is rendered completely useless and must be replaced. These inexpensive reflectors cost only $3 to $5 a piece, but we're talking about over 100 million reflectors being damaged every year just in the United States. A major metropolitan area such as Atlanta, there's 3 million reflectors replaced every single year just in the city limits. So this is a multi-million-dollar problem for state and local agencies. And they need these days of tightening budgets. There's not enough money to replace all the reflectors. I can attest to that. I drove down I-26 to get here yesterday, and not every reflector has been replaced. I can attest to that. You can see as you drive around, look at the center lane, you'll see multiple puddles of adhesive, and then a reflector. That's where that reflector has been replaced 4, 5, 6 times over the years. Each time costing the installation cost, the unit cost, and the installation cost. My invention is called the Reflectical, and it uses, instead of a hard, rigid body, flexible pedals, pliable pedals. So when the plow comes across, the pedals get out of the way. That eliminates the damage caused by the plow. The pedals are anchored to the road surface by a spike-shaped anchor that's inserted into the pavement through a pneumatic device. This pneumatic device already exists in the market as to install a similar kind of road marker. That can be modified to actually inject these reflectors into the road surface that submerges the edge of the reflector beneath the surface of the pavement so the blade cannot get underneath and lift them out. We're estimating a 5 to 6 year lifetime for these reflectors instead of something that's going to be removed every single year. Because we're using a lot less material, a lot simpler construction, and we're using a material that can be easily mass produced, the cost will be half or less the existing unit cost. The installation cost, however, will be tremendously less because these things can be injected into the road surface by an applicator on a moving truck. So literally just like a paint sprayer as it moves down the road surface, we can inject these wherever is needed. We're looking at a market here, a three-pronged market. Certainly the replacement of damaged reflectors is a ready market, but also new pavements. A lot of stimulus money is being spent now repaving roads. Any kind of new resurfacing of a road would be a market for these reflectors. Also, the low cost and long durability of the reflectors make them economical to install in hundreds of thousands of miles of road that don't currently have reflectors. You can't afford to put a reflector everywhere if you have to maintain them every year. So we're looking at an enormous market and tremendous savings. If Atlanta replaced all 3 million of their reflectors with reflecticals this year, they would still spend the same $10 to $15 million, but they would not have to spend that money the next 4 or 5 years. So spend $10 million, save $40 million, 80% savings right off the bat. My name is Ron Fulbright. I'm chair of the Department of Informatics at USC Upstate. Glad to take your questions.
Where have you done the prototyping for this or the applied testing for your product?
Right now, this is a paper idea. What I'm looking for is people in the industry already, people who manufacture these kind of things already, or manufacture materials similar to the characteristics that I need. I'm not looking to create a company that's going to compete with the big players in this market. 3M is a major manufacturer in the U.S. There's another smaller company in Texas. A Korean company has the entire world. There's over 1 billion of these reflectors sold across the world every year. I'm not looking to ramp up a company to compete with that. What I'm doing is identifying people close to the industry, already in the industry, that can manufacture these things and license my idea to them so they can plug into that existing market.
When you say you're licensing your idea, you're suddenly speaking my language to a lot of these other people. Is it about making money or owning the whole world? And I think you're smart. Licensing is a good, probably a good choice here.
It'll take me 10 years, 15 years to own the whole world. I can be
right. Take your time. Exactly. Start out small. Let's just. Repair costs of these particular items. Once you've done a whole roadway and then 5 or 6 years has gone by, clearly you're going to have to go back and do some amount of repair. How does that work? Is that part of the model? Is there a truck that goes around?
Well, most road services are repaved in a 5 or 6 year period, most of the major road services. So the hope is that the reflector pool will live until the next repavement. So it's torn up with the old pavement and reapplied with a new pavement. If one does have to be replaced, you can just move just to the side of it and install another one, just like we do with current reflectors.
I would hope you tell SCDOT that. I'm not sure they know to repair roads every 6 years. So my other question is really this 5 or 6 years of durability. Your biggest part of your pitch, at least what I'm hearing, is comparing this product to these existing reflectors. And it's real easy in my mind to go to everything's going to have to get repaired eventually, right? And nothing's foolproof. So tell me a little bit more about the durability of those strips and how.
If you think of what I've got here is arguably ribbon, packaging ribbon, Christmas ribbon. But what I want to put in your mind is something like a doormat, something with a thick bristle structure, very, very, very durable, something like artificial grass or a heavy brush material. So it's durable. It will last for years. One thing that makes it durable is it gets out of the way of the force. Everything that currently is on the market, and I've looked at hundreds of designs like this, are all based on making this thing hard enough to withstand the force, making the reflector able to live through an impact. This idea is pliable, so it gets out of the way of the impact. So you are getting around that destructive force that way. That's going to make them durable. Because you have multiple petals, with these, if one facet gets broken, it's gone. Here you would have multiple petals in each unit. If one gets torn, one gets damaged, one gets ripped out, you haven't lost the entire functionality of the unit.
Is your idea patented?
We're in the patenting process now. I don't think it's going to be possible to lock down intellectual property here. The best strategy that we can do is to patent as many derivative or similar ideas. But the speed to market, I think, is important. We need to get to someone who can manufacture this and can be a supplier to a 3M or the Korean company and get established that way before the market responds with intellectual property challenges.
Right. Well, I think that's a reasonable strategy, but that's a more applicable strategy if you plan on being the company that produces them and you have an OEM that's producing them for you and you're actually selling it in the market. As a licensing strategy, it's very difficult to get a big company to pay money for the right to do something that they could work around themselves. It's like, you say you really need to be cautious about going in and pitching an idea where somebody can say, good idea, let's do that ourselves.
I'm not anticipating 3M, a large company like that, doing it, but they don't make the units that they sell. They deal with suppliers. I'm looking to work with one of the suppliers that's looking to differentiate themselves from all the other wannabes that want to supply to 3M.
I just want to echo that. I think without some strong intellectual property position, it's going to be very difficult as we are to implement your licensing strategy. I have a question on the physical aspects, and I don't know enough about this space, but hard rigid reflectors that are out there now, is there any component of that that provides some sensory feedback to a driver as they're maybe drifting over into a lane? Is that one of the reasons they use a hard reflector? And if so, is that one of the limitations of your product?
I do think there is tactile feedback. I don't think that's the driving design, reason for the design. There would be tactile feedback going over this material as well. It would be like these reflectors stick up about an inch and a quarter above the road surface. These would also, and it would be like stepping on a doormat, for example. You can feel when you go over it. It doesn't take very much of an elevation change to feel that through your car.
Just a suggestion, this is a great idea on paper, but a couple things, and just to be kind of straightforward. One is, I think you need to find a way to do applied testing of this, so you have some sort of a proof model behind it. Secondly, the point that Chip just made about how does this interact with the automobile or the road. There's so much technology moving forward that